Hello, DF! Exclamation point. Do you think that any TV manufacturers will ever implement retro filters as an option in game mode, or at the very least, nearest neighbor scaling? Almost all recent retro game collections include some sort of CRT filter, so it seems like the option is popular enough. Is it only a matter of time before some company implements a Kmart version of a retro tink into their displays with the right marketing? Feels like it could be a big win. Interesting point, right, John? But I think fundamentally the RetroTink is kind of like a very niche
That's
product.
the thing. It's very, very niche. And I think the thing about it, the CRT filters, for instance, and the way that works in the Tink, it's actually pretty complex, right? There's a lot of granularity there. And it puts a lot of onus on the user. I mean, yes, you can provide pre-made profiles to a degree, but then you're getting to the point for it to really work, you've got to provide profiles for every different type of system. Including different resolution. Like it's crazy what you have to do there. So I don't think we're going to see anything like that in a display. That's just beyond what they would want to do. Nearest neighbor scaling though, gosh, I don't understand why this
Panasonic screen?
There was a Panasonic. There was a couple of years of Panasonic that had nearest neighbor scaling in there, and I don't know if it's still there or not actually in the newer models, but nobody else is doing this. They don't offer it, and I get it because most displays are considering video, and also you could send an uneven image in and then you'd end up with weird scaling artifacts. Like there's reasons why you wouldn't necessarily want to expose that, but I feel like there should be an option where it's like if you're receiving X kind of like either 720 or 1080, just to call it like perfect pixel scale or something like that, just something to make it like extra sharp. And make it only available in game mode, put in the game optimizer that LG has or whatever equivalent in the other brands. But I feel like that should be something they could do because nearest neighbor scaling is the least expensive type of scaling anyway. There's no computational issue here. It's just they don't provide the darn option. And with this rise at CES, you see them all talking about AI upscaling and we're putting more AI in our TV. It's like they're looking at ways to artificially boost the image when we actually want the opposite. We just want the most raw you can get. And I really wish I don't know. We don't know any people with these companies. We're not influential enough with these big companies to make any difference. I don't know if there's anybody out there that can, but I want somebody to go in there and like understand like this would be easy to add. And it would be a huge deal for anyone playing video games, basically.
I would love to collaborate with a display manufacturer, I mean, preferably LG or Samsung or whatever, who basically there's a lot of low-hanging fruit here that they could actually sort out. I mean, obviously, nearest neighbor scaling is a great start. Secondly, the LG stuff has is it the game optimizer or it's got the frame rate counter. These frame rate counters don't support low frame rate compensation, so they're basically inaccurate a lot of the time. I mean, there are ways and means to actually produce accurate frame rate calculations, which it's not difficult. They just need to know what's going on there.
I'm wondering, like, I know Blurbusters has the verified logos, and Blurbusters approved for videos, display processors approved for displays themselves, and then verified. And like something like that, some sort of program either from us or integrated with somebody else, just working with somebody in that space to get some of these features in there, it would be so beneficial. And I think it's just we don't know those people, basically.
Well, maybe the guy from Blurbusters does.
I should talk to Mark at some time and see if he has any insight into this, because when this is a different type of blur, but it's blur all the same, right? Upscale blur versus motion blur, but still, that would be cool.
I mean, we've tried to talk to Microsoft about this, and they do have sway with the display manufacturers.
They can do it in Windows if they wanted.
They didn't seem to really get it or why it was important. When I bring this up with people like that, like there's this mystery of like, why would you want that? It's just raw pixels. And you even see this in like retro compilations sometimes where they just don't, it feels like they're allergic to this idea of raw pixels, but sometimes that's what you want. Like, don't mess with the image. Just give us the raw, crisp pixels.
Yeah.
It should be possible, and it would be a great option to provide, especially if you're already doing like these gaming oriented UIs in the TVs already, right? Just add it there.
So one thing I thought about really quickly is I was just looking at it. Do you know about those new dual mode monitors that are going to be coming out that switch the hertz and resolution? I think those are going to be integer scaling though. Really? And they're part of the latest version of Adaptive Sync announced support for them. Because if it's going to be taking like a monitor that's 4K 240 and then turning it into a 1080p 480 hertz monitor at that point, if that was bilinear, if it was just like bilinear blurring that up to 4K, it wouldn't make any sense.
Bad.
It would look bad. And if it's part of the standard for Adaptive Sync, I mean, it's like it could even exist on a hardware level. It doesn't even require OS support at that point.
Right.
So I don't know. I feel like there's definitely leeway in here. It's just a matter of getting your foot in the door.
It's funny, Alex. That's used to be how old laptop displays worked. It wasn't good at the time because the resolutions were too low. But if you bought, like, say, a mid-90s 800 by 600 screened laptop and you would scale lower resolutions and you filled the screen, those were not powerful enough to actually filter the image. So it would just be a raw nearest scale. So you would get those sharp pixels, but 640 to 800, 640 or 480 to 800 by 600, it's not an even scale. So it actually looked bad. You want to make sure that it's actually an even scale for this to be effective. But, you know, it was part of those computers in the past.
So good.
Okay. I'm wondering, John, just as a final thing on this topic, whether there is some kind of basic RetroTink filter set that Mike might like to sort of set up in some sort of licensing arrangement.
That would actually, wow, that is an interesting idea, to sort of like a RetroTink Lite like feature. I don't know what that would entail or how much of a difference that who would be interested in that. But yeah, I would love that kind of thing to exist.
Me.
Because I mean, you know, his product is very, very niche still, and it's selling very well considering that niche, but still.
Absolutely.
But man, thinking of displays and stuff, what is it? On the DF Clips channel, you put up one of those, the video on when LCDs arrived. Did you notice that they were worse than CRTs? It was either that or one of these other videos, and one of the comments that I just saw pop up was like, maybe someday someone will make a display that John Linneman actually likes or whatever, or like one that actually like suits your needs. And I'm thinking about that still, because I'm like, there is no display that actually suits all of my needs.
Yeah, I am enjoying DF Clips getting substantial amounts of views on extremely niche topics that kind of bother us and seem to bother other people. And it's like, you know, these videos are doing better views than a lot of the mainstream stuff that we put on there, which is quite amusing.